and welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland from Scorebook Live Mississippi, joined as always by my partner in crime and parental figure, Dad, I don't know what to call you, Rick Cleveland from Mississippi Today. Dad, how was your weekend?
Well, I've been called a lot of things, but a parental figure is the first.
You're a parental figure.
At least it's more than 4 letters.
That's right.
However, I'm fine. How about you?
I'm doing well. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to recap the Masters from this past weekend where Scottie Scheffler won for the second time in 3 years. And want to talk a little bit about the WNBA draft. We're recording this on Tuesday morning, so that was Monday night. We got a little Olympics news. We're going to talk a little Braves. I want to start with some college baseball. We've got, just looking at the RPI with you this morning, can you give people kind of a lay of the land and what they can look forward to this next week?
It so happens the NCAA baseball RPI ratings are fresh off the press, and it's kind of surprising to me. I guess it's all about the strength of schedule, but Ole Miss has pretty far and away the highest RPI of our 3 teams. They're ranked 29, and then we got Southern Miss down at 47. Followed by Mississippi State, just a couple spots below.
So here's the question for you. When the season started, they put out the preseason rankings, and there were no Mississippi teams in the top 25. And both of us at the time in this same segment said that would change quick. It
has already changed. We've already had all 3 teams at one time or another were ranked.
Okay, let me finish my question. At the end of the year, do you think that do you think those predictions that we would not have a top 25, do you think that they're coming true now? I mean, as over the course of the year, do you think it's going to play out that way?
It's baseball. We don't know. My prediction is that at least one of these 3 teams will get hot and move into the top 25 at the end of the year. And furthermore, I think all 3 of them will be playing in the NCAA regional.
Yeah, I think that all 3 make regionals. Are we sticking with Mississippi State as the best of the 3 right now?
Well, I think that'd be hard to do after Ole Miss just won 2 or 3 and run ruled them in the last one.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. That last game was pretty bad. And I think there's, it kind of makes sense. Like you said, that's baseball. It kind of goes up and down. I think both of us, last week said that Mississippi State probably had the best chance. I think I had to revise that after that game. What about Southern Miss?
Boy, all of a sudden, it's hard. Again, the big thing in baseball, the big mistake that 99% of fandom makes is they put too much emphasis on what has happened lately. And in baseball, that's stupid. But what happened to Southern pitching this week at Georgia State was pretty alarming.
I was looking at the numbers on them. They're not a team that has done that to a lot of – it's not like they've got some overpowered lineup.
They were playing home run derby and winning.
And what was frustrating was I was watching a little bit of that. It's like it looks like a high school stadium over there.
Yeah, they're fixing to build a new stadium where Turner Field is. And why they don't just go ahead I guess it's just way too big.
It would be way too big. Well, look at this. Look at what they're playing in right now. It was literally looked like the set from My Dog Skip is what it looked like to me, buddy. It had
we've got
5 or 6 rows of bleachers, along the first base side, and with moms handing Powerade through the fence at the dugout.
We've got probably in the Jackson metro area 8 high school fields that are superior.
Yeah, that's what I was looking. I was covered a game at Northwest Rankin last week, and I was thinking, that their stadium is much nicer than Georgia State's.
You got to wonder how much effect that has on a team. Like Southern's used to playing before a pretty big crowd at home all the time in a really neat atmosphere, and then you go and there's like 75 people in the stands and chain link fence. It was pretty.
Oh, it looked like a beer league softball, deal. I mean, it was whatever. It is what it is. Southern Miss just got to, the pitching has just got to figure it out. They just continue to, they don't have the Friday night shutdown guy. They don't have.
Well, they've had that for, beginning with Nick Sandlin a few years ago and then moving on to Tanner Hall. And now they don't apparently have that, Nico Mazza from.
Nico's been fine, and now and in any other year he would be like a fantastic Saturday starter.
He's been fine to the last 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 starts. But anyway, my prediction: one of these teams will get really hot, and I don't know which one it'll be. I still think probably Mississippi State has the most potential to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're all three talented enough. It's just a matter of whether they can put it together in time. Let's talk about some other headlines across the let's start with the Masters. Of course, Scottie Scheffler won the tournament at 11 under. We forgot in our last show with Randy to give like a score prediction. I usually go with about 12. 12 usually seems to be 12 or 13 is usually enough to win it. Scottie won it at 11. I think a lot of that had to do with Friday, the win day.
Oh, yeah.
I think that had a lot to do with the scores being what they were. But what did you make of Scottie Scheffler's, especially those last 2 rounds where he really got the separation?
Well, he is so clearly the best player out there right now. I mean, he does his ball striking, his short game was I mean, you don't win at Augusta without a great short game, and he was the best player. I mean, we knew that going in. My big takeaway is, man, we're fixing to see something with Ludvig Aberg.
Yeah.
Aberg.
Yeah. He finished second at 7 under. Nice payday, by the way.
What do you get for second?
I want to say it's like 1.6.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not bad. But here's the thing. He came here. He played here in October in the Sanderson Farm the week after the Ryder Cup, where he was a key member of a victorious European team straight out of college. I mean, this guy he's fixing to light it up.
Yeah, he's got some serious, and it seemed like kind of unflappable. Nothing really got to him.
Smiling the whole time.
And just but my favorite thing about him is like, I watched extensively this weekend. We were talking about how many hours we spent in front of the TV watching golf, and it's almost embarrassing. But
your mom has another word for it.
Yeah. Well, when he makes a decision, right, him and his caddy talk it over for about 10, 15 seconds or so.
And then he fires.
And I'm talking about as soon as the decision is made, clubs out of the bag, clubs in the hand, at address, gone. And it's just crazy. I mean, but I think it really helps him because he doesn't seem to overthink anything. And yeah, he makes some mistakes. Like he hit it. I think the big mistake on Sunday was at 11 when he just kind of, he hit it over in the water to the left of that green when almost nobody was taking that pin on. And he just, it's like pulled it out. All right,
You saw what Scheffler did.
Yeah.
He's 20 yards right of the green. Ben Hogan, still the greatest ball striker of all time, always said, if you ever see me close to the hole on number 11, you just know that I pulled it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And both Aberg and Morikawa.
But
both hit it in that's you just cannot make that mistake.
I understand. I also understand the thinking because we saw, who was it? I think it was DeChambeau went right at it and hit it close enough to get a pretty good look at birdie. And at that point in the round, you're looking at the holes remaining and you're doing the math and you're looking at Scottie and you feel like you just gotta make something happen. So I get it. I get trying. But, yeah, no, that's a mistake you can't make because at that point, as soon as Aberg hit it in the water right there, I mean, it was almost inevitable that Scottie was going to win. I mean, he was the only person really in striking distance, and you just felt like unless Scottie made some huge mistake that he was going to win.
Well, when they all were making the turn, it was a 4-way tie.
I know.
And then one by one, they made mistakes, and Scheffler kept making birdies.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just.
I mean, I think it was, what was it, 6 out of the last 10 holes he birdied.
Yeah.
So that's usually good enough.
I kept wanting to know what he was going to do if somebody called at
His wife was in labor.
At the turn and said, well, you're going to have a baby here in the next couple hours.
Yeah.
You coming or what?
Yeah. Well, that was the joke. He said all week that he would leave, and I remember when he made his final putt on Saturday to end the day, I turned to my buddy and was like, all right, tell him his wife's in labor. I would just want to see him sweat. I mean, you're going into the Sunday at the Masters with the lead. I'm sure he's got all the money in the world and has already won this tournament, doesn't give a damn. I think for almost anybody else, it'd be very hard to pass that up.
Well, here's the question. Is there anybody that doesn't like Scottie Scheffler? I mean, he just seems like the nicest person out there.
I would imagine there's probably 50 other golfers that hate his guts right now. I mean, if it wasn't for him, how many other people would?
Well, they envy him, but I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like him as a person. He just seems
and I don't know that he's got. I mean, I always look for little stuff like, after the tournament, like after he plays 18, you see the long walk to the clubhouse and through the fans and everything. I always look at who's waiting on you.
Yeah.
When you get to the scores, because a lot of times you'll see a golfer and their buddies will be out there, and everybody knows that people like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas and Ricky Fowler, those are all guys that are just the best of friends. And there were a couple for Scottie. I think Max Homa and him are pretty good friends on the tour. He was waiting outside to greet him. Let's talk about the guys who competed but didn't quite get there. We already mentioned Aberg. Homa just couldn't make a damn birdie for, I think it was 37 holes from the middle of the second round into the fourth round, and hung around the whole time. I mean, he was one stroke off the lead without making a birdie for like 30-something holes. His story, have you gone back and looked at like how he got to that? I mean, it was incredible. He lost his card, had to go back to the Korn Ferry Tour, qualified by like one hole or something to get back, and then finishes in the top 5 at the Masters. Golf's a funny game, isn't it?
Yeah, there's everybody's looking for the magic, and he seems very close to finding.
And he may, and I'm just looking at the story, like he may lose it again and find it again, and it's been up and down for him. But I thought he was a great story. Anybody else up there? I mean, Morikawa kind of fell off, like we mentioned, after he hit it in the water on 11. Did not have the best round Sunday, but overall played a pretty good tournament, I thought. Anybody else stick out to you?
Well, no, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiger's, when you consider his age and all the different things that have happened to his body.
Yeah, the 13 surgeries.
Playing on one leg with apparently brutal lower back issues and making the cut. I just thought it was amazing what he did.
I think he's the 2024 Masters up and down champion. I mean, he could not hit a green and just kept getting up and down and getting up and down. I mean, he knows, if it felt like he was getting around just based on his own like course knowledge.
Well, you can do it at that course it's such a huge advantage to know where you miss need. If you're going to miss it, where do you want to miss it?
Yeah.
And staying below the hole and
taking the extra club when you need to on the elevation changes and on that, especially like 12. I mean, so many guys hit it in the water right there. They feel like they can hit wedge or. And
then you have Ludvig Aberg, who had never competed there before, and he just comes right out of the chute and shoots 7 under in some of the worst conditions. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He's the next one.
Yeah, well, definitely a lot to think about from that Masters. Don't want to leave without. I just want to a couple of guys. Want to get your takes on Rory. What's the deal with Rory? Do you think he will? I mean, what is it about the majors that turns him into a pumpkin? I mean, I couldn't. He just never seemed to be in the competition at all.
No, he just he didn't make the shots. He didn't make the putts, which has been his real big bugaboo the last decade or so. I mean, he's just not making the putts he made when he first came out. And But the big question about McIlroy is that report out of England.
Yeah, it was a financial paper in London said he was in talks to join Liv. The number was $850 million and an ownership stake. And Rory's gone back and forth on Liv. I mean, it was, he was completely loyal to the PGA Tour, and Liv was an abomination. And then it was, can't we all get along? And then it was back to Liv is is lessening the sport, blah, blah, blah. He's gone back and forth on it. So I guess if he did join, it would kind of be disappointing. But at the same time,
Say it ain't so, Rory, is all I got to say.
Right,
about
but I'll say this. You look at that leaderboard at the Masters on the final day, and it was 9 of the top 10 names were all PGA Tour guys. The top 5 were all PGA Tour guys. None of you and Randy said it. The 4-day tournament would be different for them, and they're not used to it. They did really struggle. I think Bryson DeChambeau was the outlier there, and he just seemed determined to compete. And he did fall off on the last day, but those first 3 rounds were pretty special for him.
I tell you what's amazing about him is to watch how his body always is changing.
Well, he changes it based on what he thinks his game needs. If he thinks he needs to be able to hit it harder, he gets stronger. And if he wants to, slim down to change his swing, he does that. I mean,
he was still longer than anybody else by 25 yards.
Yeah. Oh, he's a monster.
Yeah.
He hits the ball like a gorilla.
He just looks, when he's on the green putting, he looks as uncomfortable as anybody I've ever seen.
He really does. He looks like he's got diarrhea. It's so bad. I mean, he clenches up so bad. It's really bad. He
looks like he needs a fresh lube.
Like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, he looks like here. Well, he does.
He does. Now, no, because he swings with this whole upper. I mean, I know that's what you're supposed to do, and technically it's correct. But good God, he just looks funny because his arms are so big, and he just like Frankenstein's monster trying to stand over a 3-foot putt.
He seems to be a lot more likable than he was 3 or 4 years ago. It seems like he's almost had a humility transplant.
Well, I think it was, he had that deal with Brooks Koepka where they went back and forth for a little while, kind of making fun of each other. And I think it was Koepka that said he's seen a change in Bryson DeChambeau, and he's a little more. And, a couple of years ago, he said he was going to, Augusta was a par 69 course, and he was going to come out and overpower it. And, he was like.
He said par 60, it's par
right,
67.
Right. And he was instantly in the woods, unlike the first 5. Anyway, obviously he's grown up a little bit since then, and he's a great player, but he's on the LIV Tour, so screw him. Let's move on from the Masters, Dad. There's lots going on. We had the Ole Miss spring game in football here over the weekend. I call it a spring game. It really wasn't a spring game. It was kind of a different approach. They did like a 7-on-7 deal, and they had like a tug of war. There's a hot dog eating contest.
Slam dunk contest.
Yeah. I just want to – what's your take on that? I mean, for me, it was kind of refreshing.
Well, I'll say this. It just proves what I've been writing for 50 years, that spring football games are useless.
Yeah. I mean, it's
you get people hurt. I mean, I just never thought they were worth the time of day.
Yeah. Well, I think they're for the fans. First of all, let's get that out of the way, because the coach, it's like, oh, he really showed the coach something in the spring game. It's like, no, he showed the coach something all spring. You know what I mean? And then the spring game doesn't. It's like just a glorified practice at the end of spring camp, right? So like the coach has already seen everything he needs to see by the time they get to the spring game. It's really for the fans.
Yeah.
So let's make it like NBA All-Star Weekend. You know what I mean?
That's what they've done.
Right. I think it's pretty smart. I got to give Lane Kiffin and them credit. I don't know who came up with it, but I think it was more entertaining than, say, a regular spring game where the red team beats the blue team 47-13 and the.
Well, I don't know for sure, because I've kept my record perfect for all these years. I've never covered a spring game.
Never covered a spring game?
I don't.
Oh, my God.
No, I mean, in fact.
You've never known the joys.
back when I was a beat guy, 40-something years ago, I had to cover like the maroon and white and red and blue and black and gold. I mean, I have, but I decided pretty early on they weren't worth going to.
The funnest one I ever covered was in purple and gold.
Oh, Alcorn.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It was when I was on that beat. I had the SWAC beat at the Ledger, and there was, if you recall, there was this massive fight down in Lorman, and it seemed to pour out all over campus. But like 20, I want to get the number wrong, but I think I would say it was 23 football players.
Multiple players
got arrested in after the fallout from this fight, and the spring game was like a week later. And so I went down to Lorman for the spring game thinking, surely they're not all going to play. And they didn't. There was none of them playing. They had like 26 players for the spring game, including 2 quarterbacks, and I'm using air quotes on that because one of them was really a converted tailback. But they played the spring game, and I sit down in the press box, and I'm sitting there watching and trying to keep track of who's who and making sure, looking at the sidelines to see if any of the reprobates are there. I won't call them that. But anyway, they ended up playing for 7 minutes, and after like 3 series, the PA guy comes on and goes, and that's the spring game. I hustled down to the field, and Fred wouldn't talk. They had a PR person there telling Fred not to talk about anything.
Fred McNair.
Fred McNair. Talk about nothing but the spring game. We're only taking questions on the spring game today.
And what did you say to the guy that was the sports information guy?
Well, it was like, I was like, well, this interview is going to last longer than that. I mean, I needed to know. I wanted to know about the players and whether they were going to be reinstated and all that. No, we're only taking questions. It was like standing in front of a cage full of elephants. You know what I mean? It wasn't the elephant in the room. It was the herd of elephants in the room. It was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, no, they're usually pretty useless. So I think doing something fun with them is a better way to handle that. Dan, I got a couple of things I want to talk about before we get out of here. Just a quick hit on the headlines here. Caitlin Clark drafted first overall to the Indiana Fever. No surprise there. It really was the WNBA gunned ahead. Could not tell you that any date or anything about it. Followed it last night just for that.
Well, I mean, it was foregone conclusion that she would be number one. The question is, how much is she going to lift that league, and is it going to get – she's obviously at least initially going to take a pay cut.
Well, I think she's got help. I think this class, the draft class, you're looking at the other girls that were – I mean, I think it's a generational type class that could help lift the league with these different teams. I will say this: they have got to do away with singular team names, because Caitlin Clark is a Fever is stupid. Any singular team name like that is stupid. The Orlando Magic is stupid.
What is the mascot for
I mean,
Fever?
what do you do?
How do you germs?
But it's not just them; it's the Liberty and I mean, you know what I mean? Like, these are concepts. These are not nicknames or mascots. These words are abstract concepts that should not be team names. That's all I have to say. I think it's.
You sound like an old crotchety fogey.
Yeah. Well, you ever tried to write headlines? You ever tried to write headlines with these stupid singular team names? It's so dumb. He's a Magic. She's a Fever. It's so stupid. Anyway, moving on. The Olympic team, Steph Curry and LeBron James, are going to headline Team USA at the Olympics.
That's a good start.
Yeah, I think we have a chance. We might be okay.
We may need more than one basketball.
Yeah, that's the only problem with this team always is managing egos and stuff. But it looks like I will say this: with the rest of the world catching up in terms of talent, it is good to see that we got their best players going.
Yeah.
And we have a chance to win. And final thing before we get out of here, the Braves are 10-5 alone in first. We have not mentioned them on the show much so far. I know you're watching, though. Well, they're pretty damn good, huh?
That lineup is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody you can pitch around. I mean, they can rip it. And Acuna hadn't even hit a home run yet.
Yeah, Ronald Acuna has started slow on the power numbers, but boy, he's still stealing bases and hitting balls hard.
The bigger thing, and something we need to probably have somebody in here to talk about, is what's going on with pitching at all levels of baseball.
Talking about arm injuries.
Strider, he's the best. He's the best young pitcher in the game, and apparently he didn't have to have Tommy John. They had some kind of brace put in his elbow, which will keep him only out till this time next year.
Right, instead of having to miss
18 months.
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing problem. And there's lots of, I know some pitchers are pointing at the pitch clock. That's ridiculous. I feel like this started when they started teaching 12-year-olds to throw curveballs in Little League and went from there. The emphasis on spin rate, I think it's making arms do things that are the motion's already unnatural.
The motion is unnatural to begin with. And arm problems have been with us since they started throwing, since they called it hardball.
Started throwing javelins at woolly mammoths in 2000 BC.
Right here in Mississippi, we had a guy who was going to be the best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in baseball history back in the 40s, Boo Fairs, who, tore labrum in his shoulder. And back then, that was it.
Right, but it's not it now. But you do have the Tommy John surgery, and I think a lot of it's a little different now. I will say that I think the emphasis on spin rate, and then in the major league level, I seriously think a lot of it has to do with them checking them between innings for foreign substances on their hands. I think that they were. A lot of pitchers, and I would say the majority of pitchers were using something, even if it was as sunscreen or whatever. I think a lot of them are using something, and if you try to get the same spin rate without using anything, you got to hold the ball further in the hand. It changes things, and pitchers we're talking about, the ones that have gone on the record say that after that rule, to get the same spin rate, their arm was sore the day after a start in places they didn't know it could be sore. So I think that has something to do with it too. And I'm not saying it should be a free-for-all and just let them throw spitballs, but, there's got to be a happy medium where it seems like one or two arms on every team is shelved for the entire year.
And we're seeing it at the college level here in Mississippi too. Left-hander at Ole Miss, Elliott, one of the best pitchers in baseball, in college baseball. In fact, he might have been the best pitcher in college baseball.
At the end of that World Series run?
Yeah, he took Ole Miss to the national championship, and we hadn't heard from him really since.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping he gets healthy because he's such a huge part of that team. Dad, that's all the time we got this week. You looking forward to anything coming up here?
Back on the golf course, buddy.
Well, I'm glad one of us is.
Yeah.
Some of us are working hard. We got the high school baseball playoffs begin later this week in Mississippi with first-round playoff matchups for 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A, and then 5A, 6A, and 7A to follow this coming weekend. So a lot going on. Stay locked to scorebooklive.com/Mississippi for all the latest there. You can read Rick's writings, including his tribute to O.J. Simpson that you wrote this last week on MississippiToday.org. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Y'all have a good week out there.